Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are going to work on more annual planting, which I think at this point we've got a good solid couple weeks of annual planting left, with other projects sprinkled between, of course, because we've still got a lot of, I still have dahlia tubers in the root cellar, and I've still got a lot of vegetables to put in the ground. And last night we got down to 36 degrees, which, you just can't predict what's going to happen in May. It can be really cool, it can get really hot. Yeah, everything survived though. I was a little bit nervous. We have basil out and tomatoes and peppers and tons of annuals, and I didn't cover anything because I just thought, well, where do I even start? We have so many things that I would need to cover, but everything made it through just fine. So I'm out standing in front of the high tunnels and right near 4 of the large concrete containers that we had at one time along our east fence line. We actually potted 4 of them up yesterday, which I'm going to show you once we get these done. And we potted them up with the 2 of the 2026 National Recipes of the Year, and they're going to be beautiful. So we are going to plant 3 of these up that will match because I've got a spot to put them where that will make sense. And then the 4th one will plant up with something different. And last night while we were out here planting up the other 4, I did get the drip run to each one of these containers, and then it just has a supply line that comes out the bottom, which we will tap into whatever drip system is nearby where these end up. We're also setting up aquapot inserts into all of these. I just tossed them in the pots at the end of the day. I was so tired by the end of yesterday because it was our pumpkin planting day. So I got that whole project done, and then we came out here and started filling up these pots. And by the time we were done with 4 of them, I told Aaron, like, no, Uncle, I'm done. So we're gonna get those all set up. And then I've pulled some plant options over here, and I'm trying to decide what to go with. So we've got so many beautiful things and so many new things too. So this Kufia is not a brand, it's fairly new. This is the Totally Tempted Vivid Violet. I thought this would be a really pretty centerpiece, maybe alongside some of the new, this is a Super Bell's Magic Double Grapefruit coming out next year. Isn't that gorgeous? I thought that those 2 pinks look really pretty together. That might be fun. There's also a couple of new Supertunias coming out next year. This one's Supertunia Mini Vista Pink Cloud. Look at these dainty little pink blooms, and they've got kind of a chartreuse throat. So I think they've got a glow quality, and I don't know, I think that might be a really pretty blend. Like kind of different variations of pink. We've also got some of the James Britannia. This is the Safari Dawn variety, which also looks really pretty with that Super Bells. This is a Supertunia Vista Cool Jazz coming out next year. So it's like the Jazzberry in kind of growth habit, but it's got a much lighter pink bloom. Then we've got the Superbena Pink Cashmere, Cobalt, Sparkling Amethyst. I pulled Saffron French, a Lantana, because I thought, well, we could like take this more tropical. We could do like a tropical looking blend. There's a Royal Velvet and a Tiara Blue Supertunia. And I don't know what we'll end up putting together. I think what we need to do is get the pots all filled with soil, get that all set up, and then I can put the pots on top of the soil and kind of lay out the containers. I think that's the route I'm gonna go here. And once we get them all planted, we put straps around the pot, and Aaron can bring the tractor back and he can lift the pot and take them over to where we want them to go. And we're gonna be lifting all of these up on bricks so they're not sitting flush with the ground. They tend to want to plug if you put them straight on the ground, which we're learning from experience. I just had to unplug a container we planted earlier because it was just a pool of water inside. Anyway, okay, so soil first, and then we'll get our layout all figured out. got all 4 of them planted and placed. I love where they all ended up. Now they all still need to be tapped into the drip system, whichever drip is closest to the container, and leveled. So as we're looking at them today, you might be going like, you need to fix that. But we'll go back through and do the drip and leveling at the same time. So we're gonna go take a look at the 4 we did today, as well as the 4 that we planted last night. And then I'm gonna switch gears. I was gonna go plant some annuals out this afternoon, but while we were doing this project, we had some shrubs show up. So I thought we would do a shrub unboxing. There are, I think, 6 pallets and a little tour of whatever showed up. I'm so excited. I could see that there were some hydrangeas in there and a whole bunch of other things. But look at this. Look at the placement of this pot. So right in this kind of sea of chamomile, which we started from seed and planted out here last year. And for some odd reason, right where this container is, it kind of died out. It just fizzled in that space and didn't come back. But it seeded itself all over the place. Like that big patch, I didn't plant back there. But oh, it's just so, so beautiful. And I love seeing some hardscape in here. It looks like I missed a tag. Sometimes it's helpful if you have a place to rest your eye, and I think that this is such a beautiful, bright container for this area. So this is the one with the lantana and then the 2 different varieties of supertunia, and I really want to make an effort on this side of the border this year because it's been kind of a catch-all for plants, and I want to kind of work some things out. There's some plants I want to remove, but I think this is a great start. Isn't that just gorgeous? And it smells so good out here right now because of all the chamomile. Okay, we are going to pop over here to see one of the containers we planted last night. Here we are near the front entrance. And this is one of the 2026 recipes of the year. It's called Saffron Sunrise, and I love it. It is so pretty. So we've got the Supertunia Saffron Finch in here. We have the James Britannia Safari Dusk. And then we've got the Super Bells Tropical Sunrise in here. That one needs to have a little bit of heat and time. But isn't that a beautiful blend right there? Oh, it's so pretty. And I love seeing this container just kind of tucked into the flower bed. We have room to do other things. Last year we had a bunch of Supertunia Vista bubblegum in this area. But these iris, we transplanted these from behind our chicken coop last year. My goodness. They do not look like they minded the transplant one bit. And the cool thing about this type of iris, and I don't even know exactly what variety it is because they were here when we moved in, but the leaves don't brown out like bearded iris do. So once they're done blooming and they've got multiple blooms per stalk, ooh, and there's honeybees all over them, we'll cut the bloom stalks down and it'll just be this really beautiful patch of grassy texture. And right beyond that, Echinacea purpurea, some more annuals. Just really coming together. We actually planted 2 of the Saffron Sunrise, but the other one is near the grape arbor. So we'll head that direction next, which is actually where the 3 of the other ones we planted up today are. They're on the ends of the raspberry beds. And they need to be leveled, but they're gonna look awesome. Here come the kids. You found the baby bag magpie? Nice. I put the honeydew melon seeds out, and I could see the mama and daddy, I think. They were eating on them. So maybe they'll show the baby where they are.
The baby is over there.
Yeah, how fun.
Yeah, see it?
I will in a minute. I just got to show everybody some pots. So here are the 3, just finishing off the raspberry rows. I don't know. I just thought it would look so pretty to have those out here. And these, this is the blackberries, and then we've got 2 raspberry rows. In the winter, there's nothing in there. So it might be kind of nice if we put like a little evergreen in here come fall. So we have a little bit more winter interest over in this space. We can even put like little Christmas lights on them or something. But here was my worry. I wasn't really sure what it would feel like because our pathway ends here. And I do think we are going to take it and kind of like meet it back to the grass at some point. So anyway, I think we might need to move these 2 rhubarb, which is not a big deal, and we can kind of swing the pathway either like this way, probably like that, I'm guessing, like kind of on the right hand side of the new evergreen we put in. But it necks down this area far less than I thought it was. In my mind, like when I was laying in bed last night thinking about it, because that's what we do, right? We mull over all these decisions. I thought it was going to be way, way, way tighter than it actually is. What's up, babe?
I left the egg inside so it could be calm.
Oh, good idea.
So it could be calm.
Good idea, sweet girl.
So I let it be inside.
Okay. And again, we'll need to level these up as soon as we get them hooked up onto drip. But oh, the color right here is just gorgeous. Gorgeous. Also because it's going to match really beautifully the color in the formal garden here because, you know, we've got the plain the blue salvia and the Supertunia Mini Vista plum veined. So we've got the pink and purple in here, and it's going to be awesome. And the other saffron sunrise is right at the end of the grape arbor, which worked out beautifully right there too. Oh my goodness. Now, I was kind of worried that this might happen. We had so much wind last night after we planted these, and I thought, oh, this poor one right here in particular is really exposed. I think this branch is broken. Actually, it's that whole branch. I'm super happy to see that it didn't really sustain that much damage, honestly. These plants are so vigorous that they will fill that container in beautifully. But I love having something at the end of this arbor, and it's just a perfect spot for it. It's going to get lots of sun. Our grapes are doing great. I need to do some training here. There we go, get that off the ground, but look at those. They're doing so great. I mean, we really hacked away at these great plants, and they're just absolutely loaded. I mean, just loaded. All right, the other two, I can see the top of one of them, or over here. It just makes me happy too to have these containers in use because I love the containers. The containers just in and of themselves are beautiful, and I was sad to see them go off the east fence line, so to have them tucked away in different spots so we can continue to enjoy them is so fun. All right. So these containers are flanking the junipers that are also flanking the pathway. They're all flanking the pathway. Let me stand back a little bit so we can see. Oh, they're perfect. Okay, so let's take a close-up look. This recipe is called Moonlit Lavender. Oh my goodness. So Supertunia Hoopla Vivid Orchid, which has been a stellar performer for us. Supertunia Mini Vista White, which is also a stellar performer. And Superbena Violet Ice. Isn't that a gorgeous blend? The other one's the same, but we'll look at it anyway. Oh yeah, these got a little bit wind whipped. Not bad. Gosh, that's just so pretty. Now this one in particular, I expect to see all three of these cascade down and probably cover the pot. By the end of the season, we probably won't be able to see any of the container, which is fine. They'll just be big balls of color and they're gonna be gorgeous. So all the pots will be hooked up onto drip, but we don't run the drip every single day. So even in the heat of summer, we don't run the drip system every single day. It usually goes to about every other day, and when it's 100 plus. So that aquapot insert, we're hoping, and we're gonna report back, we're putting it in all of the containers that we remember to that are hooked up onto a drip system. So hopefully we can avoid having to do the pulling hoses out to water containers on the off day. Now with those aquapot inserts though, even if you've got the reservoir full from day one, the plants are typically not rooted well enough to suck up water and utilize water from that reservoir. It usually takes a couple of weeks. So you do want to make sure that you're still overhead watering them in until they get to a point where they can utilize the water. It's not like you can just set it and forget it. You can't do that with any drip system, unfortunately. I wish you could. I feel like just when you are confident in how everything's running, that's the moment where you kind of look at something and you think, why is that wilting? And then you realize the drip's plugged or the pot is full of water because the pot's plugged. It does help though a lot. Okay, we're gonna take a quick moment to look at a baby magpie. We've had magpies nesting all over the place, and they usually push their baby birds out and then they end up on the ground for a little while. The cats don't bother them, but the magpies just create a complete ruckus, chaos around here. I don't hear the mama magpie, so the baby must have gone somewhere else.
No, I saw it heading that way and the baby was still
Did you? Well, let's maybe look over here. It's been cruising all over the landscape. Under here, under there. It's been all the way over under the Leyland cypress up in the Persephone garden.
It's a baby magpie.
Where? Do you see it?
That's going to be really hard to get in there from these bushes.
Where is it at?
We're going to go on the other side. Something was moving in here.
You sure it wasn't a cat?
It was
Oh, the leaves were rustling. Was it the wind maybe?
probably the wind. You check that one, Mom.
Okay, well, I'll go this way. We'll divide and conquer here.
I heard a magpie sound.
Did you? Yeah, usually the parent magpies are all over it if you're anywhere near the baby. You found it? Okay, well, maybe we'll see the magpie later on. Let's just head back and get those shrubs unboxed. They probably would appreciate getting out of their containers. Here they are, 6 pallets full of shrubs from Spring Meadow Nursery. You can see it right here. It's the home of Proven Winners Color Choice Shrubs. And this is the very first box I looked in. Look at this. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what variety of hydrangeas those are, but oh, look at those. I'm just so excited. Also, I was noticing that they have sent out some of the brand new boxwoods that are going to be coming into the Proven Winners line. It's a collaboration with New Gen Boxwood. I think we've got 2 or 3 varieties that came today that we get to try out, and they are amazing looking. Bethany and I were just standing here marveling at these plants, and she was saying they almost look so perfect they look fake. And she's right. I mean, they look like waxed or something. They're awesome. So I am just looking forward to getting these all out. What we're going to do is take them all out of the boxes, get the paper sleeves off them, line them up here in the shade, and then we'll take a tour through all the plants. I'm going to get them watered, and it's always kind of a learning time for me too, especially when they send out new plants, because we're kind of learning this together. At the same time, I have no experience with some of the things that they sent out. And it's a perfect day for this, you guys. Oh, I mean, it's like on and off overcast, the perfect temperature. I've got tea out here. It's just wonderful. It's just so big, it's like ordering an Instant Head out here. Perfect place for these, like absolutely perfect. All unpacked, just a quick look at everything before we go one by one. And we'll talk about all of these because most of them are brand new. If we swing to the right, I did pop these 3 hydrangeas into just the front part of the high tunnel in case we get wind, and it can come up pretty quick sometimes. I don't want anything to happen to these beautiful blooms. Oh my gosh. Now I only have experience with 2 of these plants that came. And one of them, it's just very limited experience. It's the Stay Classy Sand Cherry. It's a very compact growing sand cherry. We planted 3 of them out last fall, and then we planted 5 more out this spring. And so they did send a few of those, which is going to be fun. We can put them in more spots out in the garden. And then the other one that I have experienced before is the Kinsley's Ghost Honeysuckle, which I had in our townhouse garden growing over an arbor. And then we also had a couple of them here in this garden before we tore out the whole front yard. We had some friends come over and dig them out before we did the huge mass destruction up there. So they are living on, just not in this garden. But my goodness, I am so excited to try out some new boxwoods. So we've got 2 new varieties here. This one's called Independence, and this one is called Freedom. And there's also another one in the line called Liberty Bell. And so, like I said, this is a partnership with the Saunders brothers. In fact, I was doing a little bit of reading. They sent me some information, and I thought this was so interesting. So I'm going to share a little bit of it with you, because these started in a family-owned and operated business. So it says boxwood has been part of the family tradition at Saunders Brothers since 1947. What started as Paul Saunders' 4-H project evolved into the foundation of the wholesale nursery, and today the Virginia Nursery supplies hundreds of garden centers and landscapers with a wide selection of container and field-grown plants, including these new gen boxwoods. And they entered into a partnership with Spring Meadow Nursery in April of this year to bring this new line of boxwoods in, which, to be 100% honest, and I've said it before, the sprinters I haven't had the best of luck with. We've got a lot of winter gems and green velvets in our garden, but I haven't seen boxwoods that are quite like this high gloss, and they're supposedly very resistant, better resistant than other varieties to boxwood blight and leaf miner, which I know can be a huge problem. And these specific varieties were introduced in 2018 after lots and lots of years of rigorous testing and in the mid-Atlantic area. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here, and they're supposed to keep their color better through the winter too, which is always nice. I want to see that brilliant green, or as much of it as I can through the winter months. Anyway, all that said, let's take a close look at these varieties. This one's called Freedom. And you might find them still for a little while with the new gen tag and new gen pot, but eventually you'll see them in Proven Winners, like Regalia. So anyway, yeah, it says better resistance to boxwood blight and boxwood diseases, better resistant to boxwood leaf miner. So this variety grows 3.5 feet tall and wide, deer resistant, zone 5 through 8. And I just think they are so pretty. So pretty. And then this variety right here, I think this one stays a little bit smaller. This is called Independence. And this one has a very sturdy growth habit. Look at this. There's no bending the branches. And that's what I have problems with some other varieties, is that the branches get so long that they get weighed down. So this one would hold up to, I'm guessing would hold up to heavier snow loads. Okay, so this one grows 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide, zone 5B through 8. And as always, boxwoods can go from full sun to full shade, and they will be awesome. Isn't that fun? I'm so excited about it. Now this next one is a burning bush, which I know for some areas it can be invasive, right? It's not here. It's kind of like barberry. We can plant barberry to our heart's content if you like barberry. Same with burning bush. They do not seed themselves anywhere around here, and I really wanted to try this. It's a seedless variety actually, so it's Fireball is the variety, and I just wanted to pop some of these mainly out in the dirtland so we can have some bright fall color out there. And you can always tell a euonymus because they have kind of a square shaped stem, and it grows about 5 to 7 feet tall and wide, zone 4 through 8. And maybe we can pop a picture up on the screen of what these do in the fall, and then you will know exactly why I want them out in the landscape. They're just such an easy keeper. We can just let them grow to their full size, and then they can just be beautiful fall color. And really a nice green, just kind of normal looking shrub during the season. This right here is a Kodiak Red 2.0 Dervella. It's out new this year, and it's an improvement on the older Kodiak Red variety, where the color is more reliable for longer, and it's also more reliable in pushing new growth through the season. But like I said, most of these things I don't have experience with, so I'm just kind of going off of some of what I've read about these varieties. This variety stays more compact at 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, and Dervellas, you guys, are incredibly versatile. They're one of the more shade tolerant shrubs out there. If you need something that can go, you've got an area kind of like the boxwoods, if you have an area that goes from sun to shade, you can have this a consistent look throughout your garden beds, because this one will perform just as well. Now it may not color up quite as vivid, or it may not bloom quite as much, but it still will. It still will have color and it still will bloom. They get these little clusters of yellow flowers, which are beautiful, and the pollinators love them. So I really am a huge fan of Durellas. Right here, the next one is a type of macrophylla hydrangea, which we don't normally grow here, but we'll give it a shot. This one's called Let's Dance Blue Jangles. And it stays really quite petite, like 12 inches tall, or 1 foot to 2 feet tall, and 2 to 3 feet wide. And the blooms are beautiful if they have the more acidic soil. So they're one of those type that will vary depending on what the pH of the soil is, which if I planted these straight in the soil, they would turn like a bright pink, which that's beautiful too. Sometimes if you've got some like more of a neutral sort of soil, they'll be a little bit more on the purple side, more acidic, very bright blue. And you know, we could treat our soil, we could try with like the elemental sulfur, that sort of thing, but we are so high pH. It's really hard to get a blue hydrangea, but typically the first year we see some of that color. So this year we might enjoy some blue color on these. But they are a zone 5 through 9 and they're a reblooming type. And the nice thing about this variety too is that it blooms on both old and new wood. A lot of macrophyllas only bloom on old wood. So they're one that you have to be very careful about when you prune them, because you could accidentally or inadvertently prune off blooms for the next year, you know, if you prune them at the wrong time. So, you know, even if you pruned this one at the wrong time, you might sacrifice a few blooms, but it's still going to produce some blooms on its new wood during the current growing season. A little bit of peace of mind built in there. Next, we have some Fairy Trail hydrangeas, and I think we've got 3 different varieties here. This is the Fairy Trail White. This one in here is the Fairy Trail Green, and then this one is Fairy Trail Fresco. That with that little blush of pink. Oh, okay, well, let's look at this one first, because oh my gosh, they are just so full of blooms. And the Fairy Trail hydrangeas, it's a series. Clearly you've got the Fairy Trail Green, White, Fresco, and there's another one called Bride. And they're a cascading type hydrangea, so their growth habit is different than a traditional hydrangea in that their branches want to cascade over like the edge of a container, or like spill over the side of a wall or something like that. They've got a really interesting growth habit. They even recommend them for hanging baskets. Wouldn't that be beautiful? And they bloom earlier, I think, than any other hydrangea. They're a spring bloomer, but they, you know, hold on to their blooms and look beautiful through the whole rest of the season too. So this variety here will grow 4 feet tall by 4 to 5 feet wide, and it's a zone 6 through 9. Same specs for the Fairy Trail White, and then the Fairy Trail Fresco stays a little bit smaller, like 3.5 to 4 feet tall and 4.5 feet wide. It's not that much smaller, but a little bit. Also a zone 6 through 9. And then right next to that, we've got the Kinsley's Ghost Honeysuckle, which as these grow and mature, they get more silvery in color and they have a eucalyptus-esque look about them. So this one is new to the Proven Winners line this year, and it grows upwards of 12 feet tall, 5 feet wide, zone 4 through 8. And it's actually the blooms that look like a eucalyptus. They come out in like saucers and they're very silvery, and then they produce little berries, like blue and red berries. And it's a non-invasive type honeysuckle. It will not pop up everywhere. It won't try to take over. It's really quite like to itself, keeps to itself. And this next one right here is a brand new variety of butterfly bush for next year, 2026. It's called a mop top fountain butterfly bush. It grows about 3 to 5 feet tall and wide, and it's a zone 4 through 8, and this one blooms really early in the season, like the earliest of all butterfly bushes. This next one is a rose that I'm really excited about. It's called Flavorette Paired. It's an edible rose, kind of like your Flavorette honey apricot, which we have out in the garden, and this one gets very full, like deep cupped roses. Oh, they're so pretty. A very slight blush pink. And they grow about 3 to 4 feet tall by 3 feet wide, and they are a zone 4 through 8. And I love the way their new growth looks, with that light shining through it, that bright red. And the older growth, or the older leaves, kind of have a more deep olivey green look to them. So pretty. This next row is a new variety of boxwood for this year called Neat Ball, and it stays a lot smaller even than the other 2 boxwoods that we have over there, 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. So if you need one that, you know, just maintains a smaller growth habit, this would be a good one. And it's supposed to keep and maintain that deep green color even through the winter time. Did I already say it's a zone 5 through 9? Can't remember if I did. And then this is the Stay Classy Sand Cherry, which I have a very limited amount of experience with, but I like that these stay smaller than the older varieties at 3 to 4 feet tall and 4 feet wide. They just add that beautiful depth of color into a flower bed, which I think is needed in a lot of spots, at least in my own garden. Zone 2 through 8, incredibly winter hardy, and they bloom light pink to white blooms in the spring. This next one, I have absolutely zero experience with this type of plant altogether. It's a thornless silverthorn called Mr. Smooth Seedless, and I saw it as something that's going to be out next year. I saw it on the list and I thought, oh, this would be such a fun one to try. It's got such a unique glittery look to the leaf. They're just really interesting. And they grow 4 to 6 feet tall and wide, zones 6 through 9. And apparently they have small white flowers that are fragrant in the fall, which I think is going to be really fun to see what happens with this. Usually when I haven't heard much about a plant, the first thing I do when I look it up is see what kind of soil it likes. And this one says that it can take pretty much whatever you throw at it. It's not fussy. It can take crummy soil. It's very adaptable. I usually expect to see something like that say it requires acidic soil. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I haven't heard much about it, because nobody carries them around here. So I'm excited to see how this one does for us. We have a couple more Durvellas here. This one's called Kodiak Spiced, and it's new for next year, 2026. It grows 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, zones 3 through 8. And the new growth on this one is kind of a blend of orange and copper, which is really beautiful, and it's attractive to bees and butterflies and hummingbirds. And again, the Durvellas are super versatile in the way of light requirements. And I think this one's called Kodiak Black? Jet Black. Ooh, look at that. This is another new one for 2026. Zone 3 through 8 grows 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, blooms yellow, maintains its deep color through the whole season. I think it does maintain its color better if it gets more light. So this might be one that can't go like full shade or, as shady as some of the other Durvellas. Oh, I'm excited about this next one. So this row and this row are actually the same variety. They're called Incredible Stormproof, and I've had such good luck with the Incredible, just regular Incredible hydrangeas, that I am super excited to try this one out. So they go 3.5 to 4 feet tall and wide, zones 3 through 8. They bloom on new wood, and they're supposed to have a super dense growth habit with really strong stems. And then the blooms will cover from top all the way down to the bottom, so you can line the front of a bed with these instead of having to have fillers, because some shrubs you want to have fillers in front of so it kind of hides the bottom network of branching. This one that's not needed. And I can't remember the exact specs on Incredible, the one that we already have in the garden, but I think this one stays maybe a little bit more compact. And this right here, this row, is a panicle type hydrangea called Powerball. 3 to 6 feet tall and wide, zone 3 through 9, big, beautiful white blooms. And in our experience here in Eastern Oregon high desert climate, we've had the best luck with the panicle type hydrangeas. They tend to just do really well. They don't weep under in the heat, and we can get really hot. Like last summer, it was over 100 degrees for 30 plus days. And our panicle hydrangeas just rocked through the whole thing. Our smooth hydrangeas, we had to do a little bit of extra water to those, and they still made it through great, but the panicles just kind of maintain at normal care with normal water. Okay, now we've got 2 different kinds of edibles. This is a bush tart cherry, and then we've got a taste of heaven blackberry. So this one, the Easiest Pie bush cherry, is a new one for next year, 2026, and it grows about 3 feet to maybe 4.5 feet tall and wide. So it stays more on the compact side, so easy to harvest the berries, but it's got a huge presence in terms of ornamental qualities. I mean, when it blooms in the spring, it's just covered, loaded with blooms that are followed with the bright red tart cherries. And I'm so excited for that. We've got 5 of them here. And I thought, even if we didn't harvest and let the birds have the fruit, from time to time, I think it'd be fun to have this one because they are so pretty in spring, at least in pictures. I'm excited to see what they do for us here. And they are a zone 3 through 8. Now, the Taste of Heaven blackberry, this stays a little bit smaller than the other blackberries that we have, which is nice because it's a little bit easier to, locate in the garden. Still wants a sunny spot. These are thornless. They grow 3 to 5 feet tall and 2 to 3 feet wide. They're a zone 5 through 8, and they're supposed to produce berries for several weeks throughout the summertime. And it does say that the berries are really big and that the berry to seed ratio is good because, sometimes you get berries where the seeds are really large and you feel like that's what you're getting a lot of seeds, but they say the ratio is really good for this one, so I'm excited about that. And the last row right here is a type of oak leaf hydrangea called Gatsby Glow Ball. I love oak leaf hydrangeas because, look at the leaves. The leaves in and of themselves are beautiful. And then they get these huge bloom panicles, and then they get beautiful fall color as well. Now this one stays way more compact than a lot of the others, 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, zone 5 through 9. And it gets bright white flowers that mature to kind of a chartreuse limey green. Most of the time, we have to put oak leaf hydrangeas in a shaded or a more protected area. Not shade all day, but maybe some sun in the morning and protection from hot afternoon sun. But it does say this variety is very heat tolerant. So maybe, I don't know if that means sun tolerant as well. Maybe we can try it out and see what this one can take. Because oak leaf hydrangeas, if you don't have one in your garden, I highly recommend it. We've got some Gatsby pinks that have performed beautifully in our garden, and I just love them. What a fun load of plants, you guys. I am so excited. You're gonna see these very soon, probably intermixed with some annual planting. In fact, I was thinking those fairy trail greens would look really pretty planted in a pot. Maybe just on their own, maybe with some annuals too. I don't know. They're gorgeous. But plant load days are always exciting. I did not know this one was gonna show up today, and that's why I thought we were gonna be doing a lot more annual planting this afternoon, but I'm very happy to have all of those concrete pots done, planted out in the landscape so that they can start to grow and look beautiful out there. I'm really happy with everything we got done today. And ending on this, it's always a high note for me. I love it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one.